afternoon, everyone, and I would like to thank Mrs. Rabusa for having invited me for this event, and I would like to say that it's been extremely dense from this, all the debates have been extremely interesting. The first thing that I would like to say is that I'm always happy to come to the Baltic states, and it's true that when you come to Riga, you always want to thank the government of Latvia for the implementation and for the decision which was taken on the fourth railway package, on the technical pillar of the fourth railway package, which in a way will create a new system of the rail sector in the future, because you know that the European Railway Agency, thanks to this package, will become a real authority in Europe. We'll give the authorization for trains which will be doing cross-border operation, and which will have a major role on ERTMS as well, because they will have to check all the trackside operation. So I wanted to say that it's also extremely important to be here, and we know that this fourth railway package is a major milestone for the rail sector. Now you have the list of the UNIFE members. We are more or less 100 companies in UNIFE. You will recognize the logo of a lot of companies who are present here, but also companies who are working in this area. We are rail manufacturers. We produce rolling stock, and we have companies working on signaling and infrastructure equipment. And more or less today in Europe, we have 400,000 jobs in Europe, people working in our sector, and 46% of the worldwide rail production comes from UNIFE members. Now, the very important thing that has been said today during the debate is that we have reached a point of non-return for Rail Baltica. That's why I'm showing this map, which you know by heart, but it's of course a very important declaration which has been made this morning on Rail Baltica. Now, as you've asked me to discuss and make a presentation on digital train and high-speed rail, I will not repeat what has been said during the debates about the huge challenges that we are facing. And it has been mentioned already on many occasions that we have the competitive modes of transport which are extremely dangerous for us, for the ridership. You have the low-cost airline, the coaches, the trucks. You have the increasing success of new business models like Uber and BlaBlaCar. And you have also the change in citizens' needs with commuting mobile apparatus and increasing needs of real-time information. We have, as you see, digital trains as the 3VS, data volume, variety, velocity offer. They offer both great opportunities and significant challenges for the railway sector. But as we have to say the truth, there are still some barriers to digitalize the rail sector. It's a big priority for us, but the long life cycle is a problem because we are not a fast-moving sector. So for us, a new greenfield project like Rail Baltica will certainly bring a significant breakthrough in the use of the newest technologies. Interoperability, and this is maybe wherever I go in Europe, I use this word. Interoperability is essential. If you don't have an interoperable system, the rail sector cannot work. And it is part of the problem that we are facing all over Europe because it took too much time to have an interoperable system for the rail sector. And then it has been mentioned as well, safety aspects are extremely important, and they are a kind of entry barrier for GAFA types of actors. Now, you have to know that we are working on digital technology. We will say a few words later on signaling solutions, and RTMS, ATCS are digital policies, a traffic management system. We have also to solve the energy management problems. We have to find ways of having less expensive maintenance system. We need to monitor and diagnose tools. And we have also to tackle, it has been mentioned as well today, cybersecurity. We have to work on the Internet of Things and big data application. It has all been mentioned on many occasions, so I will not come back on this point. And then we need to improve the customer satisfaction with what has been also mentioned on infotainment, on real-time passenger information, seamless access to all travel services, e-ticketing, which is where a sector we are not really as good as the aviation sector, and you have to work on digital tracking, tracing application for freight and passengers as well. I would like to mention a program which has been launched in 2014 at the level of Brussels, which is a huge rail research project, which is called Shift Rail. And if I may, I would like to say that I'm a bit disappointed because I've been trying for more than 4 years to bring companies from this part of Europe on board, and I have never been successful. I've attended a lot of seminars, organized seminars, and I think for RBRA it would be very important because this is 1 billion euros project, 920. Co-finance, it's a PPP, it's 52% of the project is financed by the private companies. The rest is financed by EU institutions. And we are working on those very important topics: cost-efficient and reliable trains, advanced traffic management, work on satellite positioning, cost-efficient and reliable infrastructure. And we are on this one, we've been able to work with Network Rail and Traffic Verket because it's not only a project for the rail supply industry. You have the IT solution for attractive railway services, and as well, we are working on freight sustainable and attractive solutions. So things are already started, and that was my message because it's a 6 years project. We are now working on Roll to Rail. Roll to Rail, as you see, we are trying, and it is important for you to know that we want to develop key technologies and remove already identified blocking points for radical innovation. And this program goes through technical demonstrators. It's not only studies that you put once it has been approved in a drawer. It's really, you will see exactly what is being done by the industry. So you see brakes, interiors, noise, energy, that we are working on this thing. And I give you an example of who works, for example, on this Roll-to-Rail project. On one side, you have the rail supply industry. On the other side, you have the operators and infrastructure managers. You have the leads. And then we have the universities, the research institute, and that's why I'm sure that from Latvia, Estonia, and Lithuania, it would be certainly possible to have you on board because every year there are open calls that you can join with us. So you see, for example, on Roll-to-Rail objectives, they increase the capacity, availability, reduce life cycle costs, which is an essential point, increase energy efficiency of the system, improve passenger comfort, and reduce the environmental impact of railways. If Rail Baltica wants to have a presentation of the results of the studies as they are, we are, of course, at your disposal together with the joint undertaking organization. Now, on IT2Rail, I would say it's the same kind of organization, but you have other companies like you see who are the rail supply, the signaling companies. Then you have university and research centers, you have urban operators, mainline operators. So it shows that it is really a very interesting project, and that I really invite you to participate in Shift to Rail, because we need to work on these kind of topics, and I'm sure there is a lot of know-how here, because we want to build an open published framework which will provide full interoperability whilst limiting impacts on existing systems without prerequisite for centralized standardization. As we don't have a lot of time, I'll always show this example because it gives the right example of what is what we are trying to find as new technology and new information for the people who are traveling. You know that one of the main problems that you have when you travel is when there is a disruption, when there is a problem, when the train is late, when you are, and that's where you see if we are in an efficient sector or not. And then you see the Jane, when she breaks her leg, she's in a bad mood, so you need to find solution to help it. And this is what we call the seamless travel and the way to solve the disruption issues. Now, RTMS, was very happy because I know from the discussion I had with Mr. Arbusa and Madame Trotman that on the RTMS, There's been a lot of work being done on Rail Baltica, that things are going in the right direction. RTMS is certainly one of the most important things for having an interoperable sector. It's a train control system, which unfortunately, after 15 years of effort, is still going to replace more than 20 existing systems in Europe, but things are going better. I think that the situation is improving, but it is it complies with the highest safety standards, and it will of course permit operation at very high speed and traffic densities. And what is important is that we have an interoperable system between multiple suppliers. RTMS is at the heart of the system of interoperability, and I'm sure that you will, when you will launch the tenders, you will find a solution, because on RTMS you have, and in the way we are organized, all the suppliers are working together under the authority of the European Railway Agency. So for you, just important to know that 48 countries are using ETCS trackside, and 45 countries are using ERTMS vehicle. But sometimes it's easier to have an ERTMS system in a country like Saudi Arabia than to have it in between the borders of France and Germany, or France and Italy. But it works, and I think now things are improving. And together with Commissioner Burg, it's been also possible to put pressure on all the participants on RTMS, and to be sure that there will be an interoperable system across the network. You know that Karel Wint, who is the coordinator for RTMS, has done a fantastic job, because in 2023, 50% of the network of what we call the core network, which is in the corridors, will be equipped with RTMS. And normally, at the end, at 2030, all the core network will be RTMS equipped, which is a fantastic achievement if it's done, but I'm sure it will be done, because we know that with the coordinators, we have a lot of pressure on these kind of topics. So now I would like to finish by one thing. You know that for us, for the European rail supply industry, the innovation strategy is based on a life cycle cost approach, and it brings added value for the operator and the infrastructure manager and the end users. In Shift to Rail, the target that we have to achieve, it's a reduction of 50% of the ICC of the railway transport network in the next 10 years, which is a big challenge. And all the innovation are based on this LCC approach for rolling stock, for infrastructure, and for freight. So the European companies are now developing innovative tools for measuring the life cycle cost for infrastructure and rolling stock. The message I would like to pass, as you are going to prepare the tenders, is that you have to know that in 2014, the Council has approved an article on the public procurement regulation, which is basing the award of contract on what we call the most economically advantageous tender, the MEET principle. Normally, all the member states should have approved it and transposed it in April of last year, but as usual, it's not the case, and the Commission is chasing the member states who have not yet implemented the regulation. So the main thing is that the award should not be only based on the price or cost, but you need to have a cost effectiveness approach such as life cycle costing, where you have to include more qualitative, social, and environmental criteria, which would be part of the determining factors in the choice of a contractor. And then the procurement system should stimulate innovation uptake. So we go from lowest price to the best price quality ratio in the public procurement. Well, let's hope that it will be possible for you to go in that direction. I know that some infrastructure managers are now trying to go in that direction, but it's not very easy, but I think it's in the regulation. Well, I think it's there to be implemented. So there is another last thing I would like to say, is that in these public procurement frameworks, there is some an article which makes possible to reject bids if more than 50% of the value is added outside the EU. It's what we call the Article 85 and 86 of the directive. For us, we think that it would be interesting that Rail Baltica project uses the European taxpayers' money as a lever to stimulate growth, jobs for EU companies, and thereby maximize local economic benefits. So again, thank you very much for having invited me, and we are of course at your disposal. We know that there will be a lot of events during the Estonian presidency on connecting Europe, so we will be very happy to come back to the region. And on the different topic that I have presented, especially on Shift to Rail, we remain at your disposal to help you, because I really think now it's time for your companies to be part of these kind of very important projects. Thank you very much.